up, all you individuals out there? It's me, full-time anime man, and I'm finally here with part 15, I believe, of What If Deku Was an Ex-Wolf. So, good news. First things first, I'd like to say happy holidays to all of you, and I hope you're having a Merry Christmas. Second of all, next part will be the final. Yep, after a year, this story is finally coming to its conclusion. It's going to be great. And I hope you all enjoy this one, and I hope you all enjoy the final one, which I hope will come out on Christmas Day tomorrow. So, with that out of the way, this is What If Deku Was an Ice Wolf, Part 15. I hope you all enjoy. Where we last left off, Izuku was confronted by Shigaraki, who wanted to find out how he knew about their plans before he could execute them. But in the end, it was All For One who found out that Kirigiri was the one who betrayed them. The story starts with everyone of Class 1A on the bus to the training camp. Izuku was thinking about two things, about what Kirigiri is doing if he made it out in time, and the forest that they were just driving next to. Shoto sees that Izuku's eyes are deep in the woods and tries to get his attention. He calls his name a few times, but he didn't respond. He then taps him on the shoulder. Izuku. Yes? Are you alright? You seem so fixed on the woods. Yeah, I'm fine. It's just, I feel like His conversation was interrupted when the bus started to shake with smoke coming out of the engine area. Aizawa gestured to people to get off the bus, and the wild pussycats would arrive in a limo doing their signature pose. Mandalay would tell the students that they will be walking the rest of the way to the camp through the woods, and that Dollface would be the one that will be making obstacles for them, creating earth beasts. She would also ask them if they were ready, and everyone would try to get back on the bus, only for Aizawa to stop them. He tells Pixie Bob to do it now, but nothing happens. They don't slide down the side of the road. She then asks Aizawa if he's canceling her quirk because she can't even feel it, and Aizawa would say that it's not her, that it's not him, I'm sorry. Suddenly, Shoto would look at Izuku and couldn't help but notice that his eyes were red and that his hair was flowing in the air. Because you see, the thing that happened right after they got off the bus, Izuku gave Aizawa a quick touch on his shoulders, anonymously tethering to him. He kind of sensed that something like this would happen, and duly noted, he's canceling her quirk. Excuse that noise. Anyway, Koda would notice that Izuku is the one who's doing it and would blast him in the face with water. He would then tell Aizawa to control his son and to not let him erase his aunt's friend's quirk. Wait, but I'm not Aizawa's son. Whoa! Pixie Bob would use her quirk and cause all the students to slide down the side, and the Todoroki brothers would make a smooth slide downwards, but in the end it was a heavy impact and everyone's clothes would get dirty from the dirt and mud. They would then get up, and then earth beasts would rise from the ground. Class 1A would get ready for a fight, but then Izuku would yell at everyone to huddle up. This was their most favorite part about doing the tethering quirk. They would all meet their hands in the middle, and Izuku would place his hand on top, tethering everyone together, and everyone sharing each other's quirks. Down below, the students are fighting the earth beasts, And at one point, Mina Ashido was blasting electricity through her fingertips, kind of like how Kaminari does. And then Shoji would use Kirishima's hardening to his tail, easily destroying the Earth Beast's leg support. And like Sue would also be using Dark Shadow. Now that I really think about it, could Dark Shadow actually be copied? I don't know. We'll think about that later. Anyway, you think it? They were all using each other's quirks. Is this really a good time to be at you right now, Taser? Sorry, never mind. Anyway, let's see, who was, Uraraka was using her tongue, as, Sue's tongue, her frog-like abilities, to not only, make the Earth Beast light and throw them into the air. Well, actually, that's all she did. Yeah, she just threw that one into the air. And, etc. This would go on for a while until there was one last Earth Beast standing. Izuku would tell everyone that it's time to do the thing. At this point, I'm calling it the humongous flamethrower. And everyone would gather up side by side. Izuku would yell at them to take their aim, and their hands would then gulp and be engulfed in flame while aiming their hands at the last standing Earth Beast. Izuku tells them to be steady. He then notices that the Earth Beast is actually kneeling in submission, and then he tells everyone to drop their weapons. They were really disappointed. They really wanted to blast this thing to oblivion. But Izuku would tell them that if someone gives up and they're no longer violent, they're not a threat anymore. But it's best to keep a close eye on it. Izuku orders the Earth Beast to take them to the camp. And so they would ride on its back, and soon that they what's going on with my speech today? And soon they would make it to the camp. Pixie Bob would have her mouth open in bewilderment that her Earth Beast was dominated. Mandalay would tell Aizawa, I could tell this is going to be fun. Okay, everyone, you did really good out there. Now, why don't you all go on and relax for a little bit? We're going to cook you a feast. Meet us in the cafeteria in the matter of a few minutes. Everyone gets a move on, and since Izuku is a bit different in this what if, he doesn't feel compelled to go over and introduce himself to Koda, not getting his you-know-what punched. While everyone was chowing down, Izuku was outside of the mess hall just staring in one direction, totally hypnotized on this one area that he's looking at. Shoto notices this and he tries to go outside to talk to him, but Izuku just runs off. He does his best to keep up with him. He calls his name a few times, but it's like Izuku is deep entranced and in focus on something that is out there. Soon, Izuku stops in an open area, and Shoto manages to catch up, feeling very deprived of air. Izuku, what's wrong? Why did you run? Izuku just stands there, baffled. He sniffs the air a few times and says, "They were right here." He slowly walks over and sticks his nose into a den. He then sees the still rotting corpse of one of the wolf cubs of that night. He quickly backs away and falls over, and a flashback ensues. This is the spot where my family was. Shoto then puts a hand on Izuku's back, bringing him back to reality, and after a few minutes of breathing, he would tell him that this is the spot where he was raised. This is the spot where his family drew their last breath. Izuku starts to tear up, and Shoto hugs him, comforting him, saying that it's going to be okay. They will have their vengeance, and all for one will be brought to justice. I, Izuku starts trying to talk, but his sobbing would always stop him. I just missed him so much. Their moment was interrupted when Mandalay walks up to the boys and said, "Boys, is everything okay?" "Oh, I see you found this place." Mandalay would go on to explain that they found a couple of dead wolves here a few months back, and Izuku would tell them that they missed one. Mandalay would walk over to the den and pick up the cub's body with her paw gloves and would ask Izuku if there is a sort of wake that wolves do when one of their own falls. A few minutes later, the sun had nearly set and was on the horizon. The golden hour had set in, and it was about to get dark soon. Everyone gathered around a fire, and Izuku buried a hole. He dug a hole, I'm sorry. When he finished, Mandalay put a box that had the wolf cub inside, and then Izuku filled the hole back up. When he finished, he asked everyone for a moment of silence. After a moment, the fire then started to roar, and Izuku howled to the sky. Shoto then turned into his wolf form as well, and then he howled to the sky with him. After a few hours, everyone would wake up and they would ask Izuku if he was okay. Izuku would tell them that he actually feels a lot better, and then their training begins. Shoto would go to his training like he does in the original story, and Mandalay would train Izuku on how many people he can tether to, and if there's a limit. Izuku's never really thought about it, and to tell y'all this right now, he kind of forgot about the wolf frenzy thing because, well, it just never really crossed his mind. You know, about that mysterious mark that appears on his face and he gets a little more stronger than than usual. Anyway, move on. She would ask him how many people has he ever tethered with at the same time, and Izuku would say that he's never tethered with more than 19 people. Well, today you're going to tether with 22 people. Class 1B and the rest of the Wild Wild Pussycats, me involved. Okay, I can try, but before they get started, Monoma, of all people, actually walks up to Izuku and apologizes to him for his behavior in the past, and hopes that he could forgive him. Izuku would smile and he would tell him it's okay, there's nothing to worry about. Soon everything gets started, but before Izuku tethers them all together, he would tell them that they're going to be sharing quirks and to not worry, for if they do, things could possibly end badly. So everyone just stay calm. Izuku would tell them to huddle up, and they would put their hands in the middle, kind of like how a football team would be ready for a game to start. And Izuku would place his hand on top, having the blue lights appear from his wrist, tethering everyone together. They were all bewildered of the light, and yet they already felt something new with their bodies. "Whoa, what was that?" said Kendo. She raised her hand into the air, and it shined with a chrome steelic shine, using Tetsu's quirk. She was amazed, everyone was amazed, that they were using one another's quirk. Even at one point, Monoma could actually feel somewhat related to Izuku now that you think about it, because he can copy other people's quirk just by touching them, just like he can. A few hours later, it's late and it's dark. Everyone was exhausted from training so much. But Shoto couldn't help but notice that Izuku was looking over the hill by himself in his wolf form. He went over to keep him company. "Hey, Izuku." "Hey, Shoto. What are you doing here? By yourself?" "I was just thinking." "Oh, okay." While they were looking out to the woods, Shoto couldn't help but remember what Izuku said on the bus. "By the way, What were you going to say on the bus? What do you mean? You said, yeah, it just feels like I'm... And then you stopped. What were you going to say? Izuku sighs and says, Shoto, when I was trapped with the League of Villains, and every night I would curl into a ball and I'd say I want to go home, What? Come on, it's okay, brother. Just tell me. Shoto, I'm just scared of what you're going to think of me. Izuku, I would never think less of you, no matter what it is. When I said I wanted to go back home, I was not talking about coming back home to you, Mom, Natsuo, Fuyumi, Toya, or Dad. I was talking about coming back here. That's what I wanted to say. I feel like I'm home. This place is my home. Shoto looks at Izuku in shock. Why would he feel this way? Why wouldn't he want to come home to him? Does he want to stay here from now on? Izuku, Their conversation was interrupted when Mr. Aizawa ran up the hill calling the boys' names. Mr. Aizawa, what's wrong? Boys, it's your mother. She's been kidnapped. The boys' eyes widen. What? Who kidnapped her? Said Shoto. Before they could think any further, Izuku springed off in his wolf form, running his way back home. He uses a new technique where he is actually able to ride on top of the snow wolf, and he makes it run the rest of the way. When he reaches the home area on foot, he sees that police cars and ambulances are taking Toya, Fuyumi, and Natsuo to the hospital. He quickly ran over to them. Toya was the only one who was still conscious. Toya, what happened? Toya, barely able to speak because of the pain, would say, I didn't see them coming. He passes out from the pain, and the men rush them to the hospital. Izuku ushers through the crowd of police officers and sees his house is in shambles. Like the windows are busted and half of the house is just diminished. He walks over to the door and sees a note. It reads, "Show no mercy, and the world is yours." Izuku can remember those words. He clenches his fist and his eyes start to glow with the mysterious marking on his face appearing. Snow fell from the sky, swirling around the area, and Izuku lets out a loud scream as the screen fades to black. And that's going to do it for this episode of What If Deku Was an Ice Wolf. Things are about to get juicy. And just to tell y'all this right now, next episode is the last episode. Yes, I know. It's sad to see that this series is about to come to an end. But sadly, that's just how it has to be. So, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you made it to the end of this video, consider yourselves #blessed, and I hope you all have a nice day. Goodbye.